Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Commissioner Wilson's virtual office hours. Thank you for joining us. It's really important. We're not our chipper selves today.
No, it's been a tough day here. It's been a tough day across Orange County and really probably for anybody who's followed the news. Overnight there was a fire that broke out at the Pet Alliance of Greater Orlando, which is housed very close to, really right next door to the Orange County Animal Services, and heroic efforts on the part of the Orange County Animal Services folks that were there for acting fast, heroic efforts by our Sheriff's Department, our firefighters, but sadly there was a loss of life. There were animals there that didn't get out. Many, the vast majority of them did, but it has weighed very heavily on this office, and it's going to continue to. I know that there's been a lot of outreach from people who,
There's been a lot of people calling and wanting answers, and right now I don't think we know kind of the cause at this point. We need a little bit of time to be able to get that information to you. So if you want to email district1@ocfl.net so that we can just put a little timestamp on it and get you the answers as we get them, and that's how we can connect.
And I reached out last night to Animal Services, to our director, and offered District 1's unwavering support and help for anything that we could do, because we knew that they took in the evacuees as soon as they could. So there'll be more information coming. I think the Pet Alliance always needs help and donations, so that's always going to be something that would really benefit right now even more. So if you go to the Pet Alliance Greater Orlando, their webpage, there's a place to donate, and that, I think it's a place to start. We're going to have to roll up our sleeves in the coming days and find out what happened and how we can help and how we can prevent it from ever happening again.
Yeah, absolutely. So PetAllianceOrlando.org is the official website page that you can donate. So let's jump into updates. There's a lot to cover. Speaking of pets, we know that we passed that retail pet store ban here in Orange County, which felt like such a momentous day.
Yeah.
But we got notice of
Ocoee is actually having a hearing on the 21st.
So the retail pet ban here in Orange County was enacted in order to protect consumers and pets alike from the predatory practices of puppy mills and of retail pet outlets that are profiting on buying and buying low, selling high, exorbitant interest rates, and knowing purchases from the puppy mills that are in the Midwest. When we enacted that, there was a full year of wind down that was permitted by Orange County in order to get those business owners in the place where they should be able to transition their business and to get employees some transition time, whether or not they needed to find something else. But we were hoping that the model for those pet stores would change and that they would embrace services, training, some kind of specialized other pet services. There's the retail for pet products and pet services is booming, and so we were really hopeful that would happen, but there has been a tremendous amount of resistance. The money that's being made when you can import from a Midwestern puppy mill and then at low prices and then sell high is a lot of money to be made. And right now the city of Ocoee has a model or an ordinance, really, it's gone through the first reading, that permits the single pet store in Ocoee to not have to comply with the Orange County ordinance. And there's usually in ordinances for a county, and especially a charter county, there's usually a clause in the ordinance that allows existing municipal ordinances that may be in conflict from not being taken off the books. And so even though when you think of the hierarchy of government, you think we've got federal government, state government, we have our charter counties, when we have our municipalities. And typically there's a lot of respect as far as making sure that there is something preemptive, that there's regard for what's already on the books in a municipality. So that language is not unusual. It's being used in this case to actually do something to unravel what the county did and across the county. And the particular pet store that they're doing this in order to preserve is one of the worst offenders. And there are documented imports from some of the worst puppy mills in the country. There are, if you just want to even go on to the Better Business Bureau and check out the rating and the consumer complaints for Choose a Puppy, CHEWS, a puppy in Ocoee. Just read for yourself. I'm not slandering them because the truth is the truth and is a defense to that. And those complaints were about animals being purchased with parvo, with kennel cough, with infected organs, eyes, and then not being able to get any kind of answer, any kind of help with vet bills, and sadly being sort of pushed around by that store. So really that particular store was one of the ones that really was a consumer risk, a health risk, a risk to everybody in the county. Yeah. And Ocoee has stepped in and decided to try to maintain the status quo of them putting out there in the world sick animals for people to unsuspectingly purchase for high prices. So the next meeting I believe that they're going to have a second reading, I think, is the 21st. They did not reach out to us. Animal advocates, animal welfare advocates alerted us. And so what I'm going to ask of you as animal welfare advocates on this sad day is to take some time and write to the Ocoee Commission and the Ocoee Mayor to respect the county's laws that were put into place for the health and safety of all of our citizens and for the well-being of our pets. Because if you use that voice again, you came out and you did it when we were here making that decision, and if you do it again, I think they'll be able to hear that. I believe that they don't think that this one store is going to make a difference, and it does. It has imported countless numbers of sick animals and then put them into our community. And so we end up bearing the burden of not just taking care of them, which we always will, but also trying to take care of the actual consumers that are left high and dry. And so it is, in a perfect world, a county like ours wouldn't have to enact an ordinance like this because there would be a way to shut down the puppy mills out of the state. But we don't have that authority, and the authority that is in play up there doesn't have the resources to do the right type of policing. Yeah. We don't have the consumer protections that we need for them not to, these huge loans to get this $6,000 animal. So the only way that we could make a true change and really try to protect consumers and pets is by enacting this ordinance. And so to hear that there's a municipality that's trying to carve out one of those stores that we know is bringing sick animals into our population should really frustrate all of you. And so it's time to make your voices heard.
Yeah, absolutely. You can email district1@ocfl.net or drop your comments in the comment box if you have any questions on that.
Yes, and for the Ocoee government, just go to their website, the Ocoee, Florida. All of their emails are there, phone numbers are there. Please feel free to share your thoughts, and you know, this is about you as residents and protecting you. So we want to make sure that you know what's going on and why there is some differences out there. Ocoee right now, this isn't a done deal, so please reach out to them.
Awesome. So last night you had a virtual community meeting with the residents that live close to Windermere High School about the selnik property and rezoning. And there's actually going to be another one on the 29th, which we'll talk about at 6 p.m. Maybe you want to share a little bit about what was discussed?
Yeah, well, I want to start out by thanking the residents who came to the virtual community meeting. They don't feel like community meetings. I mean, I'm glad that we're able to be flexible in this time, and I hope that we always keep a component of the virtual, but we really need to be hearing people in person. It's very difficult to get a feel for what the residents are going through without being in the community, and that's the problem I feel like with the virtual community meetings. This piece of property is directly across the street, not just from Windermere High School, but also from the Windermere Rural Enclave that was established long before Horizon West Village Plan. And even though the piece of property falls into the Horizon West Village Plan, it is right along the edge. And so really when you cross the street, you are in the Windermere's rural enclave, which has a different density designation. And you can't put a unit, a dwelling, on anything under an acre across the street. And they wanted to put, they are planning on putting several hundred units on 18 acres right across the street. So I alerted the applicant, the developer in this case, back in the spring, that this community was still really feeling a lot of the hurt about the controversy of the high school going in there, that this was a very sensitive area because there is the exact collision of the Horizon West Villages and the existing rural community. And so I asked them to really be sensitive to that, knowing that this piece of property is zoned rural. It is zoned right now rural. So the community meeting last night, the applicant proposed that the village future land use of townhome would be applied, and that there would be some connectivity within the Horizon West so that it would be part of the Horizon West plan. There were really, really knowledgeable residents that chimed in and asked great questions about why or how this type of high density fits when there's low density right there, and how this type of high density fits across the street from a high school where there's already some real safety considerations of people crossing the road. And so we're going to continue to have that dialogue in person out in the community. And that's going to be at Keens Crossing Elementary School in the community on September 29th at 6 o'clock. We're going to continue to remind everyone about that, but it's really, really important that if you have feelings about the way that might impact that community, safety concerns, please, please, please come out. I will tell you, I think one of the more frustrating things that I've found in these community meetings since the start of my term is that many residents who really care about the safety and well-being of the children that are going to school there, and people that may have some challenges crossing the street, that if we increase the density without thinking about those things, that those people will have be at risk, right? A real risk. And the Florida legislature preempts local government from being able to deny development based on traffic congestion. So the way that we are able to really scrutinize this, we can't say, oh, the traffic is too bad there. So I really appreciate the residents coming forward about the safety concerns with students and the overcrowding of schools. I think those things are really legitimate and can really be used also. But I think the focus on the incompatibility is the one that really allows us to have a conversation with the applicant about what fits best in that area. So thank you for coming out, for those of you that did for that, and thank you in advance for coming to the next one on the 29th. We will be there, I will be there, and probably not taking as much of an active role as I would in a normal community meeting, because this is about the developer asking the community, what do you think? Yeah. So I'll be there. I did hop in last night and then realized that I maybe was stepping out of place as far as my role here. So I'm going to take a step back and make sure that the community is heard.
Awesome. We'll chit-chat a little bit about redistricting before talking about recent COVID updates. So redistricting, we did get a full list of dates when there will be redistricting meetings.
Yes, and if this is the first time you've tuned in, we've talked about it before, but it is something that is a once in 10 year occurrence, so it's really a very exciting time politically or with your community involvement. Redistricting is basically when we take another look at the population based on the census and balance out the different communities to make sure that commissioner districts are balanced population-wise. There are many constitutional parameters that are kept in mind to make sure that we are not dividing a historic or cultural area, that we're not going down the middle of a municipality, and all of those things get kind of put into the mix during these meetings. each one of the commissioners was able to nominate 2 people from the community. Thank you to my volunteer appointees for taking on this very difficult and challenging role. And then the community meetings are really driven by what you want to bring in. So the first one, it looks like, is Monday, October 11th. We don't have all the locations yet, but they're going to be Monday evenings rolling forward from there. So Monday, October 11th, Monday, October 18th, October 25th, November 1st, November 8th, and November 15th. And we will make sure that as soon as we know the locations, because they're going to rotate through the district so that they're not far away from any one group of people during this process.
We just got an email from Diane. Hold on one second. We are going to pause and then we'll be right back. Thank you so much for your patience. Hi everyone, we're back. Sorry, we got a really important email that came in, and so we wanted to make sure that we had updates for you.
Yeah,
right
this
away.
is really an ongoing development at the Greater Pet Alliance where the fire was last night. If you were listening earlier, devastating fire there, and so we really want to make sure we're getting out the information as quickly as we can. Mm-hmm. What was the update?
Yeah, so 24 dogs and 18 cats were just taken to the Sanford Pet Alliance location, and the building is a total loss, but apparently they went in there and found additional cats, and they were able to bring them in, resuscitate them, and apparently they'll be okay. So they're estimating
five additional cats.
They're estimating that the loss of life is under 20 cats. So we were looking at 20 to 30 cats before. Now they're estimating under 20 cats. Still devastating, but I know people want that kind of information. However, the next concern, 2 things. One, we really need donations, so go to that petallianceorlando.org website and go ahead and donate. They really need to get their shelter up and running, their new shelter that they're looking at, because...
Well, they have a piece of land purchase that the brand new shelter is going to be, but that's not there yet. And I can only imagine that fire, on top of it, the roof over the heads being decimated, but also I can imagine that their supplies... all of their supplies were decimated. So I think, cash donation or donations online is probably going to be the easiest, best way, because then they can use that towards, whether it needs to be medicine or blankets or whatever needs to be replaced. And especially if some of those animals that were just recently resuscitated, which sounds to me like it's so good to hear that the original estimate was worse, because it's amazing that they're still finding some of the cats from that fire. So please, if you have an interest, if you could reach out to the Pet Alliance and donate. Stay tuned for updates about what the next things are. The Orange County Animal Services, which is right next door, they're going to see an increase in intake, and they don't turn away any animal. So the next big concern is how this is going to change, because the Pet Alliance, they shared a property, was the nonprofit partner right there that helped really alleviate some of the intake process, some of the medical needs. So it's going to just be a big heavy lift from the community. So anyone that's able and willing to foster right now, donate, volunteer, all those things and needs will go up from here.
And they will definitely need help from rescues, so donating to rescues and being able, they're already at capacity, so
they've reached out to all the partner rescues to try to see about getting, as many hands on deck as possible who can maybe pitch in at this point.
Yes. So just so you all know, we're going to have to do another little pause here in a second because I left my charger at home, and so we're going to have to switch over. But before we transition, let's just close out some of our points on redistricting. You were bringing up
just Mondays coming forward, starting in October 11th, that the community can participate. There's going to be an interactive map that the community can use. I know that those lines will be pushed back and forth and discussed throughout this process. It doesn't get to the Board of County Commissioners for approval until January, but it's going to go like that. So if you have an interest in this, and it should, I hope it engages our young people, our voting public, please follow along. They're all going to be live streamed. There'll be reminders leading up to it and opportunities to participate in every single one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ernest, how are we doing on? Okay, we're doing okay. On battery power? Nope. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close out and then transition on to our Facebook Live from a phone. I apologize about that, guys. It's my fault, but I'm going to buy a second charger and we'll be right back.
Bigger stuff today, Lee. There was much bigger stuff today.
But thank you so much. We'll be right back.